Good afternoon, everyone. I am the honor to guide you this breakout session, of which theme is Ethic and Public regarding NeurotechEU. I was asked to give an introductory presentation. My name is Levente Tokács from University of Debrecen. I am one of the representatives of the university in work package 6. As for my work, I am a historian, an ancient historian. Now we should discuss public and ethics. Let me begin. Starting from Socrates and his successors in Greek philosophical schools, scientific thinking has been based on definitions. That's why we first need to define what we mean by public and ethics, and then find the link between these concepts and the fields of the NeurotechEU. Finally, we should outline what needs to be done in the next 2 or 3 years to suit the goals of the NeurotechEU project. What is ethics? What is ethics? At least from the time of Aristotle, ethics has been a branch of philosophy that literally means the study of a character. For now, it may be enough to use a simplified notion of ethics, which says that ethics is what determines our decisions, both in political and daily life, as well as in scientific research too. To decide what should be avoided or what should be chosen instead. It provides us a framework to act within and make acceptable decisions. Acceptable, but for whom? The question can be answered with the help of the notion of public. Public is not easy to define. Public refers to anything that can be accessed by any person or group in the general population. Yes, here. Okay, public refers to anything that can be accessed by any person or group in general population. Public, however, is not just what others can have access to, but a fragile set of social conventions regarding appropriate behaviors. If we consider the project description of NeurotechEU, we come across the words public or ethics several times. The connection between them, between the above notions, is clearly evidenced by the following sentences borrowed from project description. Yes. NeurotechEU aims to develop public engagement, redress the inequalities, for example, due to the past NeurotechEU educational background and lack of inclusive higher education, to attract new talent. Neurotech ecosystem, which will support our students during their formative years in the university and afterwards to transition into becoming responsible, ethical and global citizens of the economy and society. One of the explicit aims of the project is to increase community engagement. A further aim is to strengthen students' influence and participation in research and studies to prepare them to live and work effectively and ethically in a globalized world. NeurotechEU intends to provide an important opportunity to develop new types of collaborations for teaching and training in order to teach all students to think ethically and critically, be able to handle ethical dilemmas and apply system thinking approaches, and have them become successful researchers capable to address unsolved scientific questions. Hence, the public addressed by NeurotechEU is divided into 2 separate categories: students and communities outside universities. The keywords are participation and engagement. Many fields of NeurotechEU outlined in notions like smart cities, big data, health and healthcare, and so on, have a direct impact on people's daily life. This is why we can hope that the societal impact of NeurotechEU will be broad. We should elaborate on programs supporting the continuous training of graduates and society at large too. For example, societal innovation hubs could bring together the relevant segments of society, and neurotech could facilitate the adoption of new technologies. The framework and limit of research is determined by ethics. We should carefully consider the ethical challenges that have arisen after developing new and powerful technologies. We need a proactive ethics strategy that will put ethics first in all actions and activities managed by NeurotechEU. Although in principle, ethics is not an organized and axiomatized science. Documents such as Magna Carta Universitatum, Great Charter of the University, provide us with some help when wanting to determine the core values. For us, academic freedom, research integrity, equity, inclusiveness, and institutional autonomy are the values that shall pervade and support everything we do. The main focus of all ethical approaches is to pursue humanity and goodness, as mirrored in the text from the Roman orator Quintilianus. At the beginning of my presentation, I promised you to proceed to what needs to be done in the next 2 to 3 years to suit the goals of the NeurotechEU project. Now, however, I will not tell you what to do, but invite you to participate in a free brainstorming on the topic instead. Thank you for your attentions. If you have any questions or remark, please use the button at the bottom of the screen, ask a question, or I can try to bring you to stage. Okay, I have a question here. Do you think there should be a European framework guiding questions concerning ethics? Okay, any remarks or questions? Please use the Ask a Question button or the chat box at the right of the screen. Yes, I have a, okay, yes, here. Okay, there are some questions. NeurotechEU strategies to reach the larger public, or key ethical values of NeurotechEU. This is the second, and I am in a troubled situation because I am an historian. So the modern technical developments, I am not specialized in them, but I try to have some remarks to your questions or some answers. The key ethical values, I think they have not been changed for a long time, because humanity and personal autonomy and in the scientific world, research integrity are the key values and core concepts we have to build around. The free will of people must be in the focus of all neuro researches. Personality and free will of personality must be taken into consideration in every research, I think. But I am not a specialist in this field of neuro studies. I think to reach larger public is a main focus of all researches in order to inform people the scientific development, because the governance of technology can help such efforts which can influence people's everyday life, people's free decisions, and that's why we have to have an ethical strategy and rules that can tell us the borders of research and borders of applying. Okay, thank you for Miklós remark. there is an European guiding framework which you can download from the web page signed by Miklós Hoffman. Thank you. Okay, I think our first task to define the key ethical values of NeurotechEU. So if you have any suggestions for the core values, please let me know it. I think people's free will and personal autonomy, for example, first of them. Okay, you have to vote for the priorities, neurotechnological progress and neuro rights.
Okay, so sorry to interrupt you, but what I want to say is that this group should work as a kind of support group to the other research groups, because in my view, in the other rooms, if you just check the other rooms, what they are talking about are specific research topics where ethical questions may and will arise, and what this group should do is to support them. If you have an ethical or even philosophical question, please ask us, and we will do what you cannot or you are not able to do from ethical point of view. I hope it's clear what I want to say, that this group should be a general kind of umbrella of those specific research topics, and to make a tailor-made framework for these specific topics, to support them from ethical and philosophical point of view. Sorry not to introduce myself, Miklós Hoffman from Debrecen.
Thank you, Miklós, for your words. I think you are right. We have to work out an umbrella for every research topic, but I am not clear at this moment how can we do this, and for what research we should do this, because there are many fields of neurotech and neurostudies which we can deal with. So if you have any actual suggestions, I am very happy to hear.
Okay, thank you very much. Sorry, again, I'm definitely not the expert here. I'm just trying to jump in. I think I can see who the participants are, but maybe try to act as a coordinator, My question would be if the question related to Neurotech's question posted a few minutes ago about whether you think, the participants here think that we can put together a European framework, an overall framework, without voices emphasizing the fact that national cultures or religions be compromised then. So my question would be to the participants and those here, or Miklós, if you can come back on the screen, if you think it's possible to put together a general European framework that would be accepted all over Europe without stronger voices for national identity, religious differences, and so on.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So yes, you are absolutely right that there could be cultural differences in specific ethical questions.
Mm-hmm.
But what we should do, in my view, is to start from this European guiding framework, what I just inserted in the question part, and try to understand what this yields to our specific problems, because NeurotechEU doesn't want to cover every aspect of neurotechnology. Even if we say something like this, we will focus on some topics. Okay, but in these topics, we can try to understand what what this European framework tells us, and if it tells us nothing or not enough, then we can do something more specific. Because of course this European framework in its very nature could be generic in some sense, cannot be specific enough, cannot be specific from research topics, from the viewpoint of research topics, and from the viewpoint of cultural and geographical differences. That's what we have to do to understand if a guy in Oxford and think about it differently than we in Hungary or in another partner. So what we should do is, or you should do, because I'm an outsider at this moment. What I can say, what we should do is to form a kind of task force to understand first of all the European level, and then to specify it to our research topics and to our geographical diversity. And the next step could be to, if we understand the common points, to start with a course, a joint course maybe, about the ethical aspects and philosophical aspects of this question, and maybe later on it can go further on to a specific master, or at least to something more comprehensive. But my view is that the first point should be the European level, what is known so far, the European Guide of Frameworks, and then we should specify it in our circumstances.
So do you mean a general framework, general set of values?
Well, the general framework is there. Or at least the principles of this general framework is there. It is ready to use in Europe. That's the official framework for us, and we have to define our relationship to this general European framework. What we should do is to collect a couple of people from each partner to read this European framework, to understand it, and to specify it to our circumstances, to understand what we think differently, what we think in the same way as this framework.
You're talking about the one you shared, with ethics guidelines for trustworthy AI.
Maybe not. This is not the only one, but this is a somewhat official framework. If you know what I want to say, so we cannot ignore it. And of course, there are more European level initiatives to understand the ethical problems of neuroscience and artificial intelligence, and that's what we have to study first. So I would give a couple of months to this task force to understand what we know so far at European level, and then to specify. Of course, it's a long-term process. But I didn't want to interrupt you, because I'm just a visitor in this.
No. In many ways, you're probably more knowledgeable than us. I'm absolutely new here, so we are very happy to hear your opinion and suggestions, and the link already. It was very helpful. So thank you very much for being here. I'm not sure, what is the main objective for today? So definitely not to come up with a new guideline or the details, but maybe to discuss the next steps and who would come together and in what form. So I don't know if there are any suggestions there.
If I can say something, my experience, because well, it's a bit of off topic, but I'm a European expert of European universities. So I've seen several proposals in this European university alliances, and what they do is, yes, in such a kick-off meeting, the first thing is to collect those people who are something in this specific topic, and then to form smaller groups, because we cannot work together, I don't know, 10,000 of researchers in this alliance. We cannot work together. We can work together 5 or 6 or 20 people. So what the aim would be is to find those guys who can and want to work in this specific working group, in this ethics working group, I would say. And then if I don't know, if you are the leader of this group, say, then since the University of Debrecen is the leader of this work package, if I understand well, so if you are the leader, then you have to say, okay, in this month or in January, you have to read everything what you know or what you find about European level ethical guidelines. Then at the end of January, we can meet together and discuss about what to do, what can we preserve, what can we say differently or do differently, and continuously keep the connection to the other work packages, to other working groups, and to explicitly tell them that we are here and we are ready to do those works what are related to ethics.
Okay, thank you. There are 2 more questions in the question box. Ethical dilemmas of recyclability of any implanted technology in humans is the first question. And next one we can focus on the differentiation between developed and healthy societies and not so fortunate ones regarding neuroscience development. So the differentiation will be bigger and bigger in this field between countries. These are 2 topics we can discuss here. Or
I think the first question is very relevant. That's what we were talking about. Very probably no European guideline will tell us anything about the recyclability of implanted technology. Of course not, because it's a very, very specific topic. So what we have to do is to understand the European level and to try to implement or modify or improve those guidelines to that specific topic. That's a very relevant question. And the other as well, of course, this cultural diversity will be even larger, of course. Yes.
And what about the intelligent technologies which can influence our decisions? Because the question said pacemaker, but there are some technologies which can influence our brain and decisions too. What about its ethical dilemmas?
In my view, it's the question of consciousness. If so, we people, I mean, human brains have a kind of self-consciousness. If until the artificial brain or the artificial intelligence has no such kind of self-understanding, self-consciousness, until that point, we are responsible for them and not they are responsible for us. So we are in this regard, we are the final point of decision. Even if it looks like in the self-driven cars that the artificial intelligence will decide what to do and what not to do on the road, it looks like he or it is the decision maker. But finally, in my view, until that point, when we have to find a way to give self-consciousness of the artificial intelligence, until that point, we are responsible for everything. So even for that, I don't know if it's an answer for your question. But.
Okay, Thank you. There is one more question here from Fleur. How does the ethics working group relate to VP6, which has quite some ethics, it seems? I don't know exactly the proper answer. I think we should make it clearer, the picture, the connections between these work groups, public and ethics, for example, and the VPs too. I don't know the clear connection between them at this moment.
Sorry, what is the working group 6? What is the other working group?
Work group 6 deals with societal innovation mainly, and it has some ethic connections too, of course. But
we simply have to clarify the or distinct the topics. Probably ethical questions should remain here, and yes, social aspects, well, not independent, of course, but social aspects should be there. But it's very good if there are people in both working groups, because there is a continuous interaction, or there could be joint meetings.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not quite sure who is fully responsible for this specific working group.
I think this is not a specific working group now. I think it's a topic.
Well, working package, yeah, work package. Because University of Debrecen is the leader of this work package. So I think...
No, work packages. Can you see the chat box, Mohammed?
Yeah, I see.
Yes. Mohammed has shown the work packages here, and the VP6 Neurochallenges in Societal Innovation. So there is no public and ethic work package yet. As you mentioned, I think it is a framework for all work packages to do within ethical values. Okay.
You have the answer there.
Yeah, I see.
Yes. I see. So we can help VP3 to compose a white paper on public and ethics. A framework you mentioned some minutes ago. Yeah.
So if Levente, if you think that you can lead this interworking group or interwork package small group, that could be great, or if someone could lead it, because that's the point. Someone has to force the others to work, to meet, to do something.
Yes, you are right, but I am not sure that I am the appropriate person for this work. I am not. I am not an expert in philosophy and ethics. It is a task for me to guide this meeting, but later I don't know whether I will be asked for this.
Yeah, what I think then the alliance should, or the management should decide if they want to create such a working group, which is, well, not above but beside the work packages, and can support each work package, but specifically work package 3 who are waiting for a white paper. Yeah.
Can anyone? Can you invite Mohammed on stage?
Yes,
I can join us. And I really like the approach. I think Miklos mentioned this approach at the beginning of this public and ethics group being something like an advisory group, or something that people can turn to from all the work packages, and whenever they have ethics. I think it was you who mentioned this, right?
Hello, everyone. Yes, I had the question about the divided world between developed and developing societies, and how neurotechnological advancements increasing this gap between. certain societies. Though I also would be very interested to talk about the recyclability of these implants, because I don't know about other countries, but in Hungary, as far as I know, you cannot recycle, for example, pacemakers. That was once implemented or used in a person, and after they decease, those have to be destroyed. But I guess the ethical dilemma on this, that it has been in another person, and that's why you can't recycle it. But besides that, we are we are transplanting tissues, living tissues. How come a device cannot be transplanted from one person to another? It's a very interesting question.
Yeah, that's very relevant, I think. And if there is no such kind of regulation, as far as I know, there is no such kind of regulation. That could be a point, for example, starting point to say that we want to do a kind of suggestion in this topic. In terms of geographic diversity, I think what we should avoid is to do the same as we do with democracy, to try to force and export our view of society and our view of ethical questions to the developing countries. That's very dangerous. So we have to be very careful and very, very cultural sensitive. What Balázs told us, that was very good.
But also, yeah, absolutely, I fully agree with you on forcing anything that's acceptable or normal for us may not be the proper thing to do, or the normal thing for other people or societies. But when humanity is kind of entering the neurological implantation era, when we are trying to overcome nerve damage with implanted devices, for example, or there are researches to create devices that can enhance somebody's mental capabilities. Isn't that going to speed up the process of this tier between, developed and healthy societies and the not fortunate ones? I'm just since obviously this is going to all happen in the future, I'm not sure about anything how it's going to play out, but it's an interesting mental experiment to play with.
Yeah. Even if I think there is, so nothing can really fasten the convergence of these different societies. Really, we tried to do in the history. Probably Levente can do more, can say more than us.
Yes.
In the history, there are many points where we tried to do a little bit artificial fastening of development, and it was always unsuccessful.
Yes, these speed up movements could bring conflicts inside and outside of societies too. So it's very dangerous, as you mentioned, to implement directly our efforts and our results to other societies, the societies of other cultures.
It's just I'm curious if we are going to, or am I going to see in my lifetime such an implantation that, for example, can increase your memory. That's far off future. Like we are not exactly certain how memory even works as of now, but in the future maybe we will figure it out. And I don't remember or I can't say anything that in human history when we, discovered something and we didn't try to enhance it. So when is it going to happen that when we are trying to enhance our own mental possibilities, and even if it is the right thing to do, as we are born with our biological brain and capabilities, and maybe they are limited purposely.
I think what you will see in your lifetime is not necessarily a natural extension of your capabilities, but a kind of artificial pieces what you can build in, and it's not necessarily similar in working mechanism as your brain, like the implanted heart, for example, has nothing similar with your natural heart, but it works. I mean, for seeing the purpose, it works very good. So if you have a kind of implantation which works in an analogous way as your original memory, it works good if we can make the connection, of course. And it doesn't. It's not necessarily based on the same on the same system or same method what our brain works. It can, but what will be faster in my view is just to try to do the interconnection, and then connect like there is a USB stick here, something like this. Of course, not necessarily, but something like this. If we can prepare the interconnection, then we can connect artificial things with the natural things. What we do with our heart, with the liver, and so on and so on.
But from the, let's say that this future device is working and it's safe to use. We know that there are no long-time harmful consequences of using this. And from an ethical point of view, to me, it's a dilemma I can't answer. Just think about that. Should we enhance our mental capabilities artificially? For example, we have drugs available and substances available that are increasing somebody's mental capabilities, though also they have a lot of addictive potential and harmful effects, side effects as well. And mainly because of that, I believe they are, condemned by society and we don't use them regularly as human beings. Should we go through our biological limitations and enhance our minds in a way that we become more than a regular human being?
Well, when we implant a new heart, for example, it is a kind of extension of our biological limitations, because normally we should die without this implantation. So I understand fully your point that that's somewhat another level of extension.
Just to be clear, I don't have a clear standing on the issue either. I'm just curious about your opinion as well, because
that's what this working group, what I suggested, should work about, to understand each other's view and to say, well, not final answers, but kind of guidelines about these topics.
And it seems that this goes really goes back to your original question about access. I mean, who will have access to these technologies in what order, and how that increases the gap between the developed and the developing world. Because again, one question is whether we should have such technology, and then the next question will be is who should get it first, distribute it, and how you provide access to it. And that's going to be a major challenge in terms of ethics as well, I guess. And it's also true for the recycled implantations that you mentioned. I mean, who would use the recycled implantations, and what kind of connotations that would have? And how do you decide who gets access to kind of original implantations and who would get the recycled ones? That obviously raises yet another series of questions about this. And again, the gap between the two parts of the world, if you wish. So yes, maybe raise questions, more questions than answers today, and in the next few weeks and months. So probably the way to do it is to collect questions first, like these ones.
Yeah.
Once you have a list of questions, then we can get together again.
Touching a bit of the field of science fiction almost. Yet it's also a very hot topic nowadays, even not related to neurotechnology, but let's say the COVID-19 vaccines. It's a very broadly discussed issue that, developed countries have access to the vaccine firsthand. And obviously, there's an aspect to it that it takes money and time to develop and create these, let's say now back to the new technology. And also, we live in a capitalist society. So it is most likely going to be for profit. So whoever company, whichever company is going to create these devices, obviously is going to do for profit. Unless it's NeurotechEU and doing everything non-profit. I don't know. So yeah, there are understandable remarks on both ends of the issue, and that's why it's an ethical dilemma.
Okay, as I see, the accessibility is one of the main focus of our future work, and the ethical dilemmas beyond this one is the second one. I will try to suggest the management to create a smaller work group, which is between the work packages on the screen here, and try to make a white paper, try to help the VP3 in forming a white paper for ethical framework.
That's a great idea. I think so.
It's not my idea. It's your idea.
Then not a good idea.
Okay, Levente, can you invite Fleur to the stage so that he can share something? We cannot hear.
Okay, I was having some technical difficulties, but can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Hi. Sorry, I was sort of invisible in the chat, but couldn't make it work for a little bit. Yeah, so I'm an ethicist, and I was enjoying the conversation. And I just wanted to say, having the plan of, as it were, a parallel ethics sort of team that's hovering over some of the other work packages or subgroups, I think would make a lot of sense, especially because I think now ethics is part of work package 3, like is one of the topics, whereas I think ethics will come up in all of these topics, and maybe some other work packages as well. So that sounds like a very smart thing to do. And I also wanted to say that maybe the white paper, so one of the experiences I have working in digital ethics is that as a solution, people usually tend to write a lot of new documents, but it's not always clear what the added value is. So it seems we have, as I think one of the documents going around from the European Commission is already very helpful. So maybe there's also something to say for not creating a new document, but seeing how some of the existing material applies to some of the concrete issues that Neurotech will be struggling with. And to, as a work through some of these values and challenges rather than creating a document. I don't know, that's just a small thing I wanted to add.
What I want to add, I fully agree with you, Fleur. What I want to add is that if we create a working group, what we should do is to clarify that we are here and we are ready to work. Go there where others have meetings in specific topics, understand their problems, which may have ethical aspects, and then discuss in this working group and try to provide them a kind of support. And then they don't have to care about this aspect.
Yeah, that sounds like a really good idea. And also in my experience, especially being an ethicist by training, actually my experience is that people who aren't ethicists by training are perfectly good at doing ethics. And sometimes even better because they don't get bogged down in all of the theories and all of the history of philosophy. So I think if sort of this working group were to inspire people to think about ethics, everyone is perfectly capable of doing that. Sometimes they just need a little push. So I think that would be a very valuable role for that group to do.
So what I suggest is to do something very specific, to say it's important that the management should hear our voice. I mean, this discussion. If I don't know if Levente is the right person to tell the management that there is a need for such kind of working group, or Fleur is the right person. I'm just an outsider, although I'm very happy to support you as a member of the University of Debrecen, at least partly. But what you have to do anyway is to define this need, and then to collect those people not very much who want to do in this working group something.
Okay, I try to do my best. That's my promise for today. I hope management will hear our suggestions, and the need will be.
So maybe we can, since we are 4 of us here, and I guess that all 4 of us are ready to work in this group. If I understand well your willingness, I'm not sure. Maybe you can start with these 4 people as a kind of kernel, a kind of basis of this working group. I'm not sure, but I don't know. What do you think about it?
Still here.
Fleur, you are evidently ready to join this working group, yes?
Yeah, so there was some confusion on my end. I'm officially part of Working Package 3, but initially Tansu asked me to join the Working Package 6, and I was sort of confused, but that question, I've now asked it to Tansu, what the deal is exactly, but it seems clear to me that the ethics group is more clearly part of the Work Package 3. But then the ethics is all over the place, which I guess is the way it should be anyway.
I think, sorry.
No, that's it. Sorry.
I think persons will change between work packages as work goes on, because the topics and problems will sharpen the personal movements.
Of course. And yeah, that's important in these European universities. I have seen a couple of them as a European expert, not to make it as a business of a couple of people, So we have to widen our view in each university to understand that there are other peoples who may be not there at the initial steps, but they intend to work. So there is a danger to narrowing this European university to the business of 20 people who are the main organizers. Of course, they did a lot of work in it, but that's very important to widen the view and to make it clear that everyone can come if they want to help us. For example, I'm not involved at all in this European university right now in any sense, but I'm very happy to help you and to work with you if you want.
Okay, thank you for all for your remarks and for this very impressive talk, and to have some hour with you. I think the program continues with other events, so I say goodbye. I have to say goodbye to you, but I can try to persuade the management that this work is very useful, and it will be fruitful for the whole project too. Is it okay?
Yeah, fine. Thank you very much for
Fine.
you all.
Thank you for all. Thank you for all.
Thank you.
See you.